Today, we're digging into a really interesting moment, a point where these two huge global things sort of crash together. We're talking about former U.S. President Donald Trump showing up at MetLife Stadium.
Yeah.
And this is for the FIFA Club World Cup final. The sources we looked at, well, they paint a picture of immediate, kind of undeniable drama and significance.
Yeah, what jumps out right away from the material is just the sheer scale of attention this got. The sources use phrases like massive public and media attention. It really wasn't just, another famous person attending.
Right.
This had real tangible effects, logistical ones. We're talking about, tight security protocols, sure, but the sources get specific. They detail a heavy Secret Service presence, and get this, it forced unprecedented last-minute changes to VIP entrance procedures. Imagine being the stadium staff trying to handle that.
Wow, so it wasn't just abstract tight security. It was like a real-world practical overhaul right there on the ground. Our sources even mentioned things like the entire North Plaza being shut down for 3 hours prior to kickoff. Think about that, shutting down a whole area, making thousands of fans find other ways in. That's a level of detail, of impact you might not normally consider.
Exactly.
And, well, this brings us to the core of what we're diving into today. The sources really stress how this specific visit adds a high-profile political dimension to one of football's biggest global stages. Why do you think that convergence, that mix, is so compelling?
Well, if you pull back a bit, look at the bigger picture, this whole thing really shows that that deep intersection of politics and sports. It's fascinating. Our material doesn't just stop at the security aspect. It really gets into the fan and official reactions, too. And that tells you a lot, about how blurred the lines are now between, major political figures and these huge cultural events. For instance, the sources actually described this scene. Boos from the south stand, countered by cheers from the north. Apparently that went on for almost 90 seconds while he was arriving. That's like a documented snapshot.
Yep.
The stadium itself becoming a political arena for a moment.
That is a powerful image. 90 seconds is a long time in that context. And it wasn't just the crowd, was it? I think our sources mentioned something about even broadcast angles needing adjustment to sort of manage the visual story.
That's right. It reflects the tricky balancing act the organizers were suddenly dealing with. It wasn't just about the game anymore.
So for you, the listener, maybe trying to process complex stuff quickly, what this deep dive really highlights is how one single person, a high-profile figure, can instantly just change the whole nature of a big international event, which should have been purely a championship football match, become something else.
Yeah, completely.
Like a mini focus point for global attention, serious security headaches, and this undeniable mix of, well, power and entertainment.
Exactly. It's a really clear, high-stakes example, isn't it? How top-level politics can just merge right into global sport and creates this amplified public spectacle, but also these really unique challenges on the ground. There's actually a quote in our sources from a stadium official who apparently said, it felt like we were hosting a summit, not a soccer match.
Wow. That says it all, really. A summit, not a soccer match.
Yeah.
So it leaves you with a question, doesn't it? Something to think about. What does this kind of dramatic convergence mean for big public events in the future? Especially ones that are supposed to be mainly about entertainment. How might our ideas of entertainment and politics keep evolving, keep intertwining like this? And, how could similar appearances by major figures shape how we see these gatherings down the line? Way beyond just who wins or loses the game.
Definitely food for thought.
Something to mull over until our next deep dive.